As I tend to do on this channel every so often, I'm going to touch on a few players who aren't happy with their current teams. We'll go over things like the state of their current teams, stats, and contracts. And with that, here are 3 NHL players who want to be traded. It wasn't all that long ago since we touched on Simon Nemec's situation, really. Shortly after Christmas, back in January of this year, I published a video that went over the defenseman's current dilemma. At that time, Nemec was not happy with his overall experience while playing in the AHL for New Jersey's affiliate team. Spit and Chicklets on their Twitter page displayed a quote that was translated from Nemec himself. The former second overall pick of 2022, in a nutshell, stated that he didn't think it was fair that he was still in the AHL during his 3rd year of play due to his status of being taken 2nd overall. Now, this was over a half a year ago, and beginning in February, Nemec was allowed to play a chunk of games at the NHL level. He even had his first taste of playoff hockey as he suited up for the Devils against the Carolina Hurricanes. Despite this though, Nemec has been in headlines lately for another reason. He's still unhappy with his current club, but this time, the same Slavic reporter, Tomas Prokop, that broke the first story about Nemec, brought some new friction to light here recently. This time around, according to Prokop, Sheldon Keefe is to blame for Nemec's disgruntled state. Keefe has favored other defensemen in key moments and has scratched Nemec unfairly. And in response to his woes, Nemec's representation reportedly has been pondering over his future in New Jersey. While there isn't an official trade request in place yet, one could be surfacing sometime next season. The idea is that Nemec is going to temporarily replace Jonathan Kovacevic while he's on injury reserve. And then, once Kovacevic returns, then Nemec will likely lose his role. Last season, after 27 games played, the defenseman walked away with 4 points to show for it. Nemec, who will be a pending UFA next summer, is on the tail end of his entry-level contract. And the theme of the player and coach rift continues, as we now are shifting our attention to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Recently, forward Yegor Chinakhov formally requested a trade, according to sources such as ESPN and The Athletic. Shumi Babaev, Chinakov's agent, dropped the bombshell on Twitter, or X, stating that due to some conflicts that his client has had with his coach, Chinakov would be requesting a trade. Drafted by the Jackets in 2020, the forward was selected 21st overall, and as is usually the case for rookies that aren't taken earlier, he spent time playing elsewhere before making his debut in 2021. And really, his playing time has been what you typically expect for a developing player. He's spent some games suiting up for the Cleveland Monsters while also playing for Columbus. While he's a supporting cast kind of player respectfully, Chinakov has been productive offensively when he's been in the lineup, that is. Last season, for example, the forward was out for the majority of games due to a back injury. Now, the main issue between Evansson and Chinakov, according to Aaron Portzline of The Athletic, is old-fashioned communication. Chinakov, through his agent, revealed that Evansson never communicated with him last season at all when he was away nursing his back injury. He also didn't make any efforts once his player returned to play in March once he was healthy. Chinakov, who was a healthy scratch for a good chunk of the last month of games, believes that he had natural chemistry on the top line that was unfairly disrupted. If you remember, Chinakov started the season on the first line and he was fantastic. And then he's on the 3rd line and that's it? 3rd line? The coach doesn't tell him anything. Why? Why would you do this? This should be something that should be explained about why he did this. If all this is true, then it's understandable as to why Chinakov would want to give it a go elsewhere. However, there are always 2 sides to every story. And according to the same article that I'll link below, Evansson stated that he did in fact have conversations with his player. Lines of communication are open, and they will continue to be open, Evansson said.
GM Don Waddell said Chinakov, quote-unquote, couldn't handle being a healthy scratch after he returned from a back injury last spring.
Regardless, if he is traded, his future team will be hoping that he can stay healthy, as Chinakov has already missed 121 games after 4 seasons of play due to injury. However, for prospective teams that may want to bring him in, he's not going to cost that much. Chinakov, who will be a pending UFA next summer, is signed at a modest $2.1 million this season. In 2021, when Mason McTavish was drafted 3rd overall, the Anaheim Ducks were a completely different team. From the front office to the roster, the Ducks received a dramatic makeover that caused more shuffling to happen than what does at a poker table in Vegas. In fact, the only player still on the roster today from 2018 is Troy Terry. With that being said, when McTavish was selected, it wasn't GM Pat Verbeek at the helm. And with Trevor Zegras recently being made to pack his bags for Philly, many can't help but wonder if McTavish could be next. But interestingly, just like the two before him, reports have come out that this isn't one-sided. In fact, according to NHL insider Dave Pagnotta, there's rumblings that McTavish isn't happy about his current role being downsized, considering the fact that, as I alluded to, Verbeek has been busy compiling a strong roster, and every time new blood enters the gates, the pecking order has to reset. Even though many, including DailyFaceoff.com, believe that McTavish will pick up where Zegras left off at the second-line center position, this isn't guaranteed. Last season was the forward's most productive to date, as McTavish notched a career high of 52 points after 76 games played. As it stands, McTavish is an RFA without a current contract on the books, due to his entry-level deal expiring this offseason. One team that has reported interest in bringing the 22-year-old in is the Vancouver Canucks. Patrick Johnson of the Province said that while Alvin and company do have interest, it will be challenging for them to come up with a return that's worthy of the forward's services. Ben Kuzma, who also writes for the Province, believes that if and when McTavish does sign his new contract, he'll be bringing in an average of $6.67 million a year. Even though the Canucks reportedly aren't done tweaking their roster, their current cap space wouldn't be enough, hypothetically. A few other teams that Shayna Goldman from The Athletic has listed that would make sense for McTavish are the Flames, Habs, Red Wings, and Bruins. In conclusion, it's going to be interesting to see if and when these 3 players are dealt elsewhere. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you could give it a like and subscribe for more NHL-themed content. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.
Yeah.